The scientists are interested in science. I'm interested in making a difference for the patients. I mean, that's really, so seeing those sick patients motivates me to do something.
Bruce, great to talk to you. I want to ask you first about the opportunities that you think come with a leadership position such that you've been given as West Australian of the Year. How can you take that to your advantage and do things that maybe you weren't able to do before?
Yeah, actually, James, it's a great question, and it's what I've been actually asking myself, because I already do a lot of stuff out there, as you know. It certainly gives you an imprimatur. I mean, I hadn't realised exactly how much entree it gives you to various things. But I've got a lot of requests, but I'm trying to think through where I can actually make a difference. I mean, it's the story of my life, actually, where I can make a difference, whether it's the Fathering Project, which got a lot of airtime, or the medical research, or the work we do in Indonesia. I'm just trying to work out which of those opportunities for entree are going to be the most effective to make a difference. I mean, some of it's fundraising, but some of it's about, winning people's hearts, getting them interested in that kind of thing.
But having the badge saying West Australian of the Year, as you say, opens doors, lets people listen to you that perhaps weren't listening before. It must be quite exciting knowing that you can do things that you didn't think you could do.
Yeah, it is actually. It is exciting, but it is also, I don't want to waste the opportunity. I guess that's the thing. So it is taxing my brain quite a bit.
Yeah. As a leader, I mean, it's interesting in the medical world, because a lot of what you do in the medical world is very private, isn't it? And yet you're having to take that into a public arena.
Yeah, I'm actually not someone who cares actually about the public arena particularly. I mean, in my speech on West Australian of the Year award night, I said that I actually declined the nomination, but it was my wife who said, look, it's not about you, it's about all the things you do, and it gives them a chance to get some profile, so suck it up. And, that's why one does it. Yeah. And I think really being a doctor and dealing with people in their most vulnerable, their most emotionally naked, sitting there in front of me, often very sick, often dying of cancer, you do get I guess, some authority to speak about how people really are.
We asked Fiona Wood a similar question about how it affects her when she sees people who have been incredibly badly burned. Do you still get as affected by patients when you see them in a bad way?
It affects me less now than it did when I was a younger consultant, but the ones that affect me most really the young ones, or the ones that have children the same age as my kids, I think, where I really identify. I mean, I can remember just thinking about this the other day. A young bloke in his 40s was dying of cancer. I sat with him under a tree at the Asbestos Diseases Society picnic, and his little daughter was dancing around with her new dress in front of him. And it was the Christmas picnic, and I thought, he hasn't realised, and nor does she, but I know this is the last Christmas she'll have with her dad. It's a poignant moment etched in my mind. And those things, they get to me in a nice way. I mean, they motivate me too. And we've got a massive research program, and the scientists are interested in science. I'm interested in making a difference for the patients. I mean, that's really, so seeing those sick patients motivates me to do something.
To me, you do it your own way. How does that work within a system which expects it to be done a certain way? You're kind of, I see a sort of a maverick style that always questions the way that it has been done before. Well,
being in the university is actually quite good for mavericks as long as they're respectful mavericks. So the university, in a sense, gives me my leash. I mean, I decide, look, there's people dying of asbestos-induced cancer, let's try and cure this thing, set up a big lab. They love it. That's what universities are about. I set up these whole courses in the medical school. Well, it's great for the students. I go off and work in the third world. Well, it's what the university wants. It wants its professionals working in the third world. I do the Fathering Project. This is essentially about health promotion. The most powerful force to reduce substance abuse in kids will be having a strong father figure. That's the university, that's the medical school. They want to do health promotion, so they love what I do.
I imagine just hearing your stories, the inspiration in your life has come from experience, from seeing some characters, from being in difficult situations. Would that be right?
A lot of that. I mean, my way of being is profoundly affected by my career. There's no doubt about it. I mean, when you see people who are going to die, they sit there in front of you and they've got 6 months to go, and they got kids. I tell you, I'm straight home and playing and kicking the footy with my kids. I get a reality check every day, but also I get to see people. I mean, one of the things that I notice, it's one of my biggest concerns, is how people who look successful they often have very shallow lives. It actually breaks my heart when I see it. And I think I don't want to do that. So medicine has affected me quite a lot. I mean, I have quite a strong religious faith, and that's not, I don't come from that background, my family weren't. It was a sort of an intellectual thing as a student, but, you know, I have to be honest and say that has affected my, you know, you look at Mother Teresa or whatever, I mean, it's just, you know, like, it has affected my way of thinking, my sense, I guess, of community service. So you're there to serve, and it's affected my leadership too. You know, my leadership style isn't about a military style. It's not even about charisma, etc. It's about being a servant, which of course is a deeply religious thing. You know, Jesus washed, when they said, hey, I want to be a leader, he got up and got a bowl of water and towel and washed their feet, and that's it. This is what you got to do, guys. And I think servant leadership is something deeply embedded in my soul because of that.
A few quick questions to finish. First of all, I want to talk about your hopes. And in the medical world, you know, there is always...
Cure cancer.
What gets you excited on the hope front?
I think the technology of medicine to make a difference is very exciting. I mean, I just this morning was meeting with bright young scientists about research. I mean, the whole notion, for example, that you can crack the DNA code. You can actually, like, you've got 6 billion bits of information in your DNA code, every cell. The fact that you can read that, identify mutations in cancer, maybe make vaccines against them, I mean, that is just exciting, and that does get me excited. It gets me excited intellectually, but the possibility that you could turn that into a vaccine for cancer is very exciting, and we're working on that.
And your fears, your frustrations in the medical world, and also perhaps in some of the poorer parts of the world, your fears for humanity. I
guess my biggest grief in humanity in general, be it medicine anywhere, is, I guess, it's what this is my word, there's a hollow life. I mean, people's lives look good, but to me they're like Easter eggs, you know, like chocolate on the outside, but inside they're hollow. And as a doctor I see it, and statistically I see it as well. I got this phrase, corny, but I call it a caramello life, you know, that is the chocolate actually has a rich golden core, and some people have lives like that. They're very successful, but they've got great relationships with their partners, they've got great times with their kids, they've got really good friends that really look after each other, and they have rich times out there, they serve the community, you know, they look after themselves in terms of fitness and health and interests, and you look at it and they have got a caramello life. Most people don't, and you've got to be really intentional about getting it. And I actually think people are getting more and more hollow. They have less and less friends they've got a lot of acquaintances, texting, you know, whatever, but they actually don't have many real friends, and they're not close. So I think my biggest fear is the increasing number of people with hollow lives, and they don't know what to do about it. I mean, if I can do anything about it, which we try to do, at least with regard to parenting, you know, I try, but, you know, that is my biggest worry, my biggest concern.
And I want to ask you finally about what you'd love people to remember Bruce Robinson for. What would it be?
It's funny you should ask that, because someone asked me recently, how do you want to be remembered? And suddenly something occurred to me, I don't actually care to be remembered at all. I'd like my kids to think of the good times and pay it forward to their kids, but otherwise I have no desire to be remembered in any particular way. I mean, how do I think I will be remembered? I think I'll be remembered as someone who's certainly tried hard to make a difference. Probably, I hope, you know, with integrity. I think that's always been pretty important to me, that I care about people. I think most people I'm with know that. My kids, I hope, will say that he was, you know, pretty okay dad.
And if you were to take that West Australian of the Year title for a year, and you were to look back, you know, at the end of the year, what would be the perfect scenario in that respect?
Probably that in all the things I'm doing now, I was able to make even more of a difference in terms of fathering project and getting people involved in medical research and committing to it, helping in the third world and that sort of thing. Yeah.
It's great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you, mate. No, it's always nice to talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.